Welcome to Startup Confidential, what industry insiders will never tell you that you need to know if you're building a consumer brand. With your host, best-selling author of Ramping Your Brand, Dr. James Richardson. Let's do this.
Welcome to episode 135. What is your founder's superpower? American culture constantly goads us all into believing that passion and grit alone will take you across the line. You'll just figure out all the details along the way. If there is anything well-intentioned and useful in that advice, it is reminding us that without extreme motivation and persistence, many entrepreneurs just talk themselves out of running businesses with potential, simply because the early roller coaster is something they cannot endure emotionally. Look, unresilient entrepreneurs are everywhere. And yes, they quit early. But in this episode, I want to talk about another problem that a lot of us want to avoid, and that is the absence of a pre-existing superpower that gives you, the underdog brand, some kind of initial competitive advantage against premium brands ahead of you and market-leading brands that control each category. If at all possible, just to up your odds, you want some kind of lucky strength before you even start your venture. Such as, 1, a massive social platform. Think 100,000 or more followers where post engagement is routinely getting thousands of likes. If you have a niche audience like this before you start, you have an enormous advantage as an undercapitalized brand. Hopefully, your CPG brand is not totally unrelated to this audience. So if you're launching a D2C brand in 2025, you better have this kind of platform already, or you're going to have to pay millions to play with testing content that drives orders. Okay. 2, killer R&D talent. This is an understated superpower for food and beverage companies, especially where too many mediocre products are still slipping out into the market every year because the stakeholders don't care. They're not there to screen. If you are offering a culinary innovation, especially, you should possess this superpower now, or have access to leading development firms like Culinix. Number 3, superb storytelling or visual design skills. This is the most rare of superpowers in my opinion. VC-funded brands like Olipop simply bought this talent, but this won't be available to you as a typical consumer brand. Number 4, creepy amounts of interpersonal charisma. I cannot believe I am saying this as a pathological introvert, but this, folks, is the master superpower. And I don't have it. And very few founders tend to have it, in my not so humble opinion. I'm talking about a degree of charming that has allowed you for all your life to get others to do crazy things for you with no clear return at all. Now, I've met a lot of these folks in the founder ecosystem. They do very well despite having no particular operating skills at all when they start. They just convince others to help them and to work for them at little to no pay. I mean, for nothing. They can sell anyone on their vision. So I call it creepy because I'm clearly envious. Full stop. Number 5, $1 million of seed money you can afford to waste. It's a superpower, folks. One of the most shocking things I witnessed from 2017 to 2020 when I wandered trade shows before the pandemic, the number of totally underfunded businesses. Look, when your Expo West appearance is 100% of your marketing budget for the year, or even worse, 50% of your last year's sales, I want to cry. Yes, I discovered these folks. I don't make this up. In this country, no one likes to prevent an entrepreneur from starting. We make it far too easy to take poorly thought out financial risks. Way too easy, in my opinion. And the dominant stakeholders all have ways to make a lot of money off founder foolishness. I sell a book, but that's not a lot of money. It doesn't cost much. In a world without Silicon Valley Bank, low-interest HELOCs, and other cheap debt, That world's gone, folks. Founders simply must raise a lot more seed money from their own assets and a close network of friends and family. And they should have done this before. And more importantly, this must be money that you and your network who's writing you checks are totally comfortable flushing down the toilet right now. You need to be able to afford to lose it all. And you'd be surprised how many founders did not and do not do this honest self-assessment. Because if you don't, it's what leads to evil charm, okay? Misleading investors who then are very much more likely to sue you when you try to dissolve the company or use investor funds to pay off debt and then run for the Caymans. Number 6, operational co-founders who are expert in the industry. Okay, most founders of consumer brands are visionaries. That's like actually a social, psychological personality type that we can quantify. They're not detail-oriented freaks. In my anecdotal experience, a lot of them have attention deficit disorder of varying degrees. They're not engineers or lab scientists or supply chain geeks from consumer packaged goods. The latter especially is a highly undervalued expertise for new folks launching consumer packaged good brands. Most founders, they learn ops by screwing it up and quickly solve it. As with failing to raise enough seed money, operational incompetence is a top reason why brands fail early in phase 1. Not asking enough questions up front with every stakeholder is a huge problem for new founders. Not applying a, if it can fail, it probably will, risk management approach to managing your co-man, your ingredient supply, your distributor, etc. will certainly increase your odds of a premature faceplant. And very little of this wisdom, I have to say, is actually shared by those who know it, not publicly. So if you have a tricky, non-standard supply chain or production process, and I'd love for you to have the latter for strategic insulation, it's essential to be the operational genius of your business or have one lined up before you start. In some cases, this has to be your first major hire, even before a national sales director, which I think we all understand at this point is you, at least early on. Because if you can't sell it in, God help us. I call these 6 superpowers lucky earlier because you had one or more of them before you thought of an idea for a CPG brand. It was pre-existing like your teeth and your brain with all its accumulated skill. P.S. You can attract other superpowers, people with those superpowers, if you have number 4. That's why it's the master superpower. Self-awareness. What doesn't add much value by itself when launching a new consumer brand? A unique supply chain. A novel idea with a large market. Just having an idea or a source is literally the riskiest way to start, no matter how much effort you put in. Yes, you could be the next Dude Wipes or Spanx. These literally were born in apartments. But the odds are less than 1% that you're going to make it without one of the superpowers. And an ocean of service providers, not me, is ready to monetize your ego and passion before you start. Trust me, even when they believe you have no chance in hell. Wait to launch until you have more than one of the above superpowers lined up. You'll be a lot happier if you do this. Or, do the bootstrap route that we all admire, but understand the enormous risks you are taking. And please, have a slower starting growth rate if you're going to do that. That's your best bet if you come in with no industry expertise at all, because it's simply going to give you the time to make mistakes and learn. That's all I got, folks. Be safe out there.
Thanks for listening. Remember, Dr. Richardson has loads of resources for founders at premiumgrowthsolutions.com. And when you're on his site, don't forget to take his founders quiz and see if you're ready to ride the skate ramp of exponential growth.